ANC leaders have held a briefing on the second day of a two-day meeting of the NEC in Ekurhuleni. They've given feedback on issues the NEC has discussed, ranging from service delivery to Eskom to relations with the United States. Vuyo Mvoko has the latest. Vuyo, good to speak to you this afternoon. Now, it looks like the ANC NEC has next year's local government elections in its sights.
No doubt about that, Hugo. In fact, it would be a surprise if they didn't. I mean, battered and bruised following their less than stellar performance in the May 29 national and provincial election. They have to do something about their situation. Otherwise, the party is going to deteriorate further in terms of its electoral performance. So at that briefing about an hour ago or so, members of the National Executive Committee tasked with ensuring that the organization, the party, is well prepared for the election, told us that over the past couple of months they have been working. They have a task team that has been going throughout the country, but focusing at this stage on metropolitan councils, and that task team is hard at work, really trying to make sure that the party turns its fortunes around come the local government elections. Take a listen to what Pakstau, a former Metro Mayor, himself had to say about the preparations that are getting into that effort.
And those require a comprehensive review of the design of our local government system. And thus, when we held the previous local government workshop at this venue, we agreed that we should initiate a process of review of the white paper on local government, which would be the policy document that guides our local government system. That process has been initiated. We're reconvening then to say what are the elements of that review that require intervention in terms of policy and other instruments to improve the functioning of local government.
Of course, local government elections is not the only issue that the meeting taking place behind me is preoccupied with. There's the geopolitical situation. There's the tensions between the South African government and that of the United States. And of course, the question was asked about, with Pakstau being the minister responsible for trade and industry, whether he is worried about AGOA and whether, in fact, if so, they are doing anything about mending relations with the United States of America. And he said it quite categorically that they are working feverishly. They are committed to ensuring that South Africa stays in the AGOA arrangements, because that's good for the country, that's good for our economy. Have a listen to what he said to say around what they are busy with currently.
But we're cognizant that the United States has taken a view with regards to trade matters that affects not only South Africa, but many countries around the world, including Canada, Mexico, the EU, China, and so on. So in many ways, we're responding to an environment that is changing in the environment of trade, in particular with the US. And we need to be cognizant of that, because as we respond, we have to appreciate that it is a policy decision of the US with regards to their posture on matters related to trade. And this would include, amongst others, their posture on the World Trade Organization and multilateral trading agreements and the way in which they are dealing with it. That notwithstanding, I reaffirm our commitment to continue to engage, one as South Africa, but also as the collective of African countries that participate in AGOA, to lobby for the renewal of AGOA.
Of course, the big political story this weekend is that of the budget that's coming up in Parliament next week. At this stage, in fact, within and among members of the ANC's National Executive Committee, there is still no consensus around whether in fact, we should have a 0.5% increase in VAT, and there's a group that's determined to use this meeting to kill that idea. Add to that the fact that the ANC and its most senior partner in the GNU, the Democratic Alliance, are still at loggerheads as well. Of course, it emerged a day ago or so that the Democratic Alliance is actually keen to support a 0.5% increase, provided the ANC, or in fact the President Cyril Ramaphosa and his cabinet are prepared to open negotiations so that a conversation can be held around whether we can talk about the NHI, whether we can talk about Bella, whether we can talk about expropriation without compensation, something that a lot of people who are in that room feel will be if the ANC were to accede to any of those demands from the Democratic Alliance, that would be a betrayal of what they have committed to the electorate. Of course, you have the DA on the other hand saying they are a partner in the government of national unity. The ANC can't run roughshod over their own interests and demands. So what is it going to be? This meeting is going to have to find a way of navigating those issues and come up with a position that will ensure that the budget, the national budget, is indeed does indeed get passed when that time comes.
Vuyo, a key question that we've been debating most of this afternoon with the head of NEC constituency a little while ago has been the people of South Africa themselves. Are the citizens of South Africa going to be a key determinant to the position that the ANC is likely to take, or is it more about the party itself?
Right now, I would say both. Because the ANC it needs to get back on its feet. As I was saying earlier, that effort at local government level is to ensure that the ANC claws its way back. Otherwise, the party, this could well be the beginning. What we saw after May 29 may well be the beginning of its end. Well, certainly the ANC as we have come to know it. But there are national interests at stake here because we do need a budget. I mean, government departments are not going to function. Municipalities are not going to function if that budget cannot be passed. So they have to take the interests of the nation first. Also because, I mean, as many people have been arguing, if you impose VAT right now, you are going to hurt a lot of people in the country. It means that they will have less disposable income and there are consequences to that. So it's a tricky balancing act, but either way, the ANC has to take a decision that takes into account both its fortunes, but also that ensures that the majority of South Africans, especially the poor, do not get hurt if that either because that budget is not passed or because you're imposing a VAT that is going to ensure that they end up being poorer than they are at the moment.
Day 2 of the ANC NEC in Ekurhuleni, Vuyo Mvoko, giving us some analysis on some of the key issues that have been discussed. Vuyo, appreciate your time.